answered a Craigslist ad that was definitely a murder trap. Instead, I became a vampire's fated bloodmate. This is that story. The ad had been up for 47 minutes when I found it. I know, because I've been refreshing the gigs section every 10 minutes for the past 3 hours, watching my phone battery drain along with my hope of making rent. Night companion needed. Must be comfortable with unusual requests. $10,000 a month, room and board included. $10,000. I read it 3 times, looking for the catch. There had to be a catch. Nobody paid that kind of money for legitimate work, and nobody who did legitimate work posted on Craigslist at 2 in the morning. My phone buzzed. Text from my roommate Jamie. Rent's due in 3 days. You good? I wasn't good. I was the opposite of good. I was so far past good that I couldn't even see it in the rearview mirror. I hit reply on the ad before I could talk myself out of it. The response came back in under 5 minutes. An address on the outskirts of the city and a single line, "Come tonight. After sunset. The gate will be open." Jamie was asleep when I left. I left a note. If this went badly, at least they'd know where to tell the cops to look. The drive took 40 minutes, leading me deeper into the kind of neighborhood where houses had names instead of numbers and gates instead of front doors. The GPS led me to a property that made the others look modest, a sprawling Gothic mansion that belonged in a European horror film, not suburban America. The gate was open, like the message said. The front door was massive, dark wood with iron fixtures that looked hand-forged, old. Everything about this place screamed old money and older secrets. I raised my hand to knock. The door opened. The man standing there made my brain stutter. That was the only word for it. Beautiful didn't cover it. Beautiful was too simple, too common. He had the kind of face that made you forget what you were going to say. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, dark hair that fell just past his collar. But it was his eyes that caught me. Dark, so dark they looked black in the dim light, and intense in a way that made my pulse jump. "You're Caleb," I said, because the email had been signed with that name. "And you're early. I appreciate punctuality. Come in." He stepped aside and I got my first real look at the interior. The photos in my head, the ones from every Gothic novel I'd ever read, didn't do it justice. High ceilings with exposed beams, oil paintings in heavy frames, furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. But it didn't feel sterile or staged. It felt lived in. Books stacked on side tables, a throw blanket draped over a chair. Someone's life, just one that happened to exist in a house that probably had a name, like Thornfield or Manderley. "This way." Caleb moved to the space like he was part of it, his steps silent on the hardwood floors. I followed him into a study that had more books than my college library. He gestured to a leather chair. "Sit. We'll discuss terms." I sat. He did not. He stayed standing by the window, backlit by the dim light outside. It made him look like a painting himself, all shadows and elegant lines. "You understand the position is live-in." I know the ad mentioned that. "And you are comfortable working exclusively at night." "I'm a night owl anyway." "No family in the area who might worry about your whereabouts." "No family anywhere who'd notice." Something flickered in his expression. "Friends?" "One roommate. We're not close." He nodded slowly, like he was processing more than just my words. "The work itself is unconventional. I have specific needs, medical in nature. I require regular assistance." "What kind of medical needs?" "The kind that require discretion." He turned from the window, and the light caught his face differently. Paler than I had first thought. The kind of pale that didn't come from staying indoors. It was deeper than that, like his skin had never seen sun. "I am willing to pay significantly for that discretion. $10,000 a month. Your room would be on the second floor next to mine. You'd have full access to the house, the grounds, the library. All I ask is that you be available when I need you." "How often would that be?" "Every 3 days, sometimes more frequently depending on circumstances." "And these medical needs, what do they involve?" He studied me for a long moment. I had the unsettling feeling he could see more than I was showing. "We'll discuss specifics once you've accepted the position. I prefer to ensure commitment before divulging details." Every instinct I had was screaming that this was wrong, that normal people didn't hire strangers off the internet for mysterious medical assistance, that $10,000 a month meant something illegal or dangerous, or both. But I thought about the eviction notice, the student loan payments I'd missed, the way my stomach had been eating itself for the past week because I'd been choosing between food and other necessities. "When would I start?" I heard myself ask. "Tonight. I'll have your belongings collected from your current residence. You simply need to say yes." "I need to get my things myself. I'm not giving a stranger my address." His mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. "Of course. Take whatever time you need. Return by midnight." I stood. My legs felt shaky. "I'll think about it. The offer expires at dawn." He walked me to the door, and I noticed for the first time how he moved. Too smooth, too fluid, like gravity affected him differently. "I hope you'll accept, Caleb. I think we'll suit each other well." The way he said my name made something in my chest tighten. I went back to my apartment in a daze, my mind spinning. Jamie was awake when I got there, eating cereal at 3 in the morning. "Where'd you go?" "Job interview." "At 3 a.m.? Night shift work." I went to my room and started throwing things into my duffel bag. Clothes, laptop, the 6 books I had managed to not sell back. It all fit in one bag. My entire life, reduced to 50 pounds of fabric and paper. Jamie appeared in my doorway. "You're leaving? Gotta live in position. Good pay." "How good?" "Good enough." They crossed their arms. "Is this legal?" "I think so." "You think so?" I zipped the bag. "I'm 3 months behind on rent, Jamie. I don't have a lot of options here." "There are always options that don't involve mysterious job offers from Craigslist. Name one." I couldn't. We both knew I couldn't. I left before we could argue more, before I could second-guess myself into staying in an apartment I couldn't afford with a life that was going nowhere. The gate was still open when I returned. Caleb was waiting at the door, like he'd known the exact moment I'd pull up the drive. "I accept," I said. The tension in his shoulders eased. "Excellent. Welcome home." He showed me to my room, massive, with a 4-poster bed and windows that overlooked the grounds, a bathroom with a clawfoot tub, a closet bigger than my old bedroom. "Rest," he said, from the doorway. "We'll discuss your duties tomorrow evening. The kitchen is stocked if you're hungry. My room's next door if you need anything." He left before I could ask any of the 1,000 questions racing through my head. I didn't sleep. How could I? I was in a stranger's house about to start a job I didn't understand for money that seemed too good to be real. I lay in that enormous bed and watched the ceiling, trying to convince myself I hadn't just made the worst decision of my life. Around noon, I gave up on sleep and went exploring. The house was even bigger than I had realized. Rooms upon rooms, all furnished, all looking like they belonged to someone, but somehow empty. The kitchen was massive and modern, contradicting the rest of the house's Gothic aesthetic, and fully stocked with food. I made coffee and toast, trying to feel normal. That's when I noticed the first strange thing. No mirrors. Not in the kitchen, not in the bathroom I'd used, not at any of the hallways I had walked through. I chalked it up to eccentric taste and kept exploring. The library was 3 stories tall, walls lined floor to ceiling with books. Some of them looked older than the country. I pulled one down at random, a first edition of something in Latin, and very carefully put it back. Second strange thing. Every window had blackout curtains. Thick, heavy ones that didn't let in even a sliver of light. Third strange thing. I found what must have been Caleb's study, and on its desk was a stack of medical journals. But not normal ones. These were from the 1800s. Real ones, not reproductions. I knew because I'd done a semester of medical history and recognized the binding style. I was starting to piece together a picture I didn't like. The sun was setting when I heard footsteps on the stairs. Caleb appeared in the library doorway, looking exactly as he had the night before. Same clothes even. Same impossibly elegant posture. "You're awake," he observed. "Never slept?" "Understandable. New environments can be disorienting. Have you eaten?" "Toast." "There's more food than that." "Not hungry." He studied me with those unsettling dark eyes. "You have questions." "A few thousand." "Ask." I gestured at the medical journals. "What year are those from?" "Various. 1840 through 1890 mostly." "Why do you have them?" "I collect medical history. It's a hobby." "And the no mirrors thing? That also a hobby?" His expression didn't change. I disliked them. The blackout curtains. I'm photosensitive. Right. I crossed my arms. And what exactly is this medical condition you need help with? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he moved to the window, keeping his back to me. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to think I'm insane, but I need you to listen until I'm finished. My stomach dropped. Okay. I'm not human. Haven't been for 237 years. The words hung in the air like smoke. I require blood to survive. I'm stronger and faster than any human. Sunlight causes me pain, but won't kill me. I don't age. I don't sleep. And I've been alone in this house for longer than I care to remember. I felt my hand tighten on the back of the chair I was standing near. You're telling me you're a vampire? Yes. The laugh that came out of me sounded wrong. Vampires aren't real. And yet, he turned, and his eyes were different. Completely black. No white, no iris, just endless dark that shouldn't exist in human anatomy. Here I am. My brain was doing gymnastics trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Contact lenses. Had to be contact lenses. Except his eyes had been normal brown just moments ago, and I hadn't seen him put anything in. You want to drink my blood, I said slowly. Yes, that's the job. That's what I'm paying you for. You're insane. Possibly, but I'm also telling the truth. He took a step forward. I can prove it if you'd like. How? He moved. 1 second he was by the window, 10 feet away. The next, he was right in front of me, close enough that I could feel the cold radiating off him like he just walked out of a freezer. I stumbled backward, hit the bookshelf. Proof enough? His voice was soft, but there was something else underneath it now, something that made my hindbrain scream predator. How did you... Speed. It's one of many abilities. He stepped back, giving me space. I understand this is difficult to process. Take your time. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. If you're really a vampire, why not just take blood? Why pay someone? Because I'm not a monster. I've spent centuries learning to be more than my nature. I don't kill. I don't steal. I pay for what I need, and I treat those who provide it with respect. You could compel me. Isn't that a thing vampires do? Some can. I choose not to. Consent matters, even for creatures like me. I slid down the bookshelf until I was sitting on the floor, my legs too shaky to hold me. This is insane. I know. Vampires. Actual vampires. Yes. And you want to drink my blood? Every 3 days. Just enough to sustain me. I can survive on animal blood or blood bank donations, but fresh human blood is more satisfying, more nourishing. He crouched down so we were at eye level. I would never take more than you can safely give. I would never hurt you. You have my word. The word of a vampire? The word of someone who's been alive long enough to know that honor matters more than hunger. I looked at him. Really looked at him for the first time. Past the impossible beauty, past the predator grace, there was something lonely in his eyes, something that had been there so long it had worn grooves into his expression. Does it hurt? I asked. When you bite someone? At first, a sharp sting when the fangs pierce skin. Then... He paused, something flickering across his face. Then the venom takes effect. It's designed to make feeding pleasant for both parties. Evolution's way of ensuring willing prey. Pleasant how? You'll understand when it happens. If it happens. If you choose to stay. I pushed myself to the feet. My legs still felt unsteady. What if I want to leave? Then I'll drive you back to the city myself and pay you for your time tonight. You'll never see me again." He stood as well, moving with that unnatural grace. "But I hope you'll stay. The money is real, the job is exactly what I've described, and I promise you'll be safe here." $10,000 a month. I thought about my empty bank account, the eviction notice, the student loans that would follow me until I died. I thought about the way he'd said, "Consent matters," like he actually meant it. I thought about how I'd spent the last 6 months barely surviving, and here was someone offering me a lifeline, even if that lifeline had fangs. "Every 3 days," I said. "Yes." "How much blood?" "Approximately 1 pint, the same amount you'd give at a blood donation. Your body will replace it naturally within 24 hours. And you swear you won't hurt me?" "I swear it on every year I've lived." I took a deep breath, let it out slowly. "Okay, let's do this." His eyes widened slightly. Surprise, maybe, or relief. "You're certain?" "No, but I need the money, and you seem honest." "For a vampire." I laughed, and it came out slightly hysterical. God, I can't believe I just said that sentence. "It takes some adjusting." He moved toward the door, then paused. "We can wait, if you need time to process." "If I wait, I'll talk myself out of it. Let's do it now." He nodded slowly. "Come with me." He led me back to his study. The room was all dark wood and leather, lit by amber lamps that cast everything in warm tones. He gestured to the leather couch. "Sit. Get comfortable." I sat, tried to relax, failed completely. Caleb remained standing, watching me with an expression I couldn't read. "I need you to understand something before we begin. This is going to feel intense. The venom creates a connection between feeder and donor. It's temporary for most humans. They feel pleasure during feeding, then the sensation fades. But not for everyone? Not for everyone." He stepped back, knelt in front of the couch so we were at eye level. "There's a phenomenon called bloodmate bonding. It's incredibly rare, perhaps 1 human in a million. When a vampire feeds from their bloodmate, the connection becomes permanent, deeper. It means compatibility on every level." "How do you know if someone's your bloodmate?" "The vampire knows immediately. The taste is different, better. The only blood that will ever truly satisfy." His expression was guarded. "It hasn't happened to me in 200 years. I've fed from hundreds of humans. I don't expect it to happen now." "But it could?" "Theoretically, but the odds are astronomical." I nodded, trying to process. "And if it does happen, then everything changes." He said it simply, like he was discussing the weather. "But let's not worry about statistical improbabilities. May I?" "You're asking permission." "Always." I held up my wrist. "Okay." He took my hand gently, turning it to expose the pale skin of my inner wrist. His fingers were cold, not just cool, but actually cold like marble that had been left outside in winter. "This will hurt for a moment, then you'll feel the venom take effect. Try to relax." I watched his eyes fade to black again, watched his lips part slightly, revealing fangs that definitely didn't have been there a moment ago. Long, sharp, incredibly real. Then he bit down. The pain was sharp and immediate, like 2 needles punching through skin. I gasped, my free hand gripping the couch cushion. Then the venom hit. I didn't have words for it, didn't have context. It was like every nerve ending in my body suddenly woke up and started singing. Like the best high and the worst vertigo mixed with something completely foreign. Heat flooded through me, starting at my wrist and spreading outward in waves. My head fell back against the couch, my eyes closed. I heard Caleb make a sound, low, almost a growl. Then he jerked away so violently he nearly fell backward. I opened my eyes. He was staring at me like I'd just grown a second head, his expression torn between shock and something that looked almost like fear. "What?" My voice came out dreamy, disconnected. The venom was still flooding my system, making everything feel soft and distant. "What's wrong?" "No." He was shaking his head, backing away. "That's not possible." "What's not possible?" "You!" He gestured at me, his hand trembling. A 200-year-old vampire's hand was trembling. "Your... what?" "The bond, the connection. I felt it the moment I tasted you." He ran his hand through his hair, disrupting its perfect style. "In 237 years, feeding from hundreds of humans, it's never happened. I thought it was a myth, a story vampires told themselves to feel less alone. But you're actually... your bloodmate." I finished, the words feeling strange in my mouth. "Yes." He was pacing now, agitated in a way that seemed completely at odds with his earlier calm. "This changes everything. The bond, it's not just that your blood tastes better, it's that we're compatible on every level. Your blood will call to me constantly. Mine will eventually call to you. We'll crave each other, need each other." I touched my wrist. The bite marks were already healing, the skin knitting itself back together in real time. "So what does that mean, practically speaking?" He stopped pacing, looked at me with eyes that held too many emotions to name. "It means I'll never be satisfied by anyone else's blood. It means you'll feel the bond grow stronger every time I feed from you. It means that eventually you'll want this as much as I do." He paused. "It means I'm going to fall in love with you, if I haven't already started." That's the bond talking. "No," he shook his head firmly. "The bond doesn't create feelings. It amplifies what's already there. It reveals compatibility that might have taken months or years to discover naturally. But the feelings themselves, those are real." I tried to stand, found my legs still wobbly from the venom. Caleb was there instantly, steadying me with those cold hands. "Easy. The first feeding always hits hard." "I need to think." My brain felt like it was swimming through honey. "This is a lot." "I know. Take all the time you need." He helped me to the couch, making sure I was stable before stepping back. "I'll leave you alone. Come find me when you're ready to talk." He was at the door when I called out. "Caleb?" He turned. "Do you want this? I mean, the bond. Do you actually want it, or is it just biology?" His expression softened. "I've lived for over 2 centuries. I've met thousands of people. Humans, vampires, everything in between. I've been alone for most of it by choice, because I never found someone worth staying for." He paused. "The bond didn't make me want you. It just made me realize I'd been waiting for you specifically without knowing it." Then he was gone, and I was alone in the study with a healing wrist and a head full of impossible information. I sat there for a long time, feeling the venom slowly fade from my system, leaving behind a strange warmth that seemed to have taken up permanent residence in my chest. The bond, I realized. I could feel it, a connection to Caleb that hadn't existed an hour ago. Eventually, I made my way back to my room. The house was quiet in a way that felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, trying to process everything. Vampires were real. I'd just become one's blood donor. We were apparently fated mates, or whatever the supernatural equivalent of soulmates was called. My phone buzzed. Text from Jamie. "You alive?" I almost laughed. "Define alive." Question mark, question mark, question mark. "Long story. I'm fine. New job is weird, but good." "Weird how?" "I'll explain later. Promise I'm safe." I put my phone away before they could ask more questions I couldn't answer. The next few days fell into a rhythm that felt surreal. I'd wake in the late afternoon, find Caleb in his study or library, and we'd talk. Just talk. He seemed determined to give me space, to let me adjust to the reality of what he was without pushing the bond between us. He told me about his life. Born in England in 1707, turned during the Napoleonic Wars by a vampire who'd seen something in him worth saving. He collected books and art. He'd watched the world change from candlelight to electric, from horses to cars to planes. "Do you miss it?" I asked one evening. We were in the library, him reading something in what might have been ancient Greek, me working through a novel I'd found. Being human? Sometimes. I miss food, real food, not just the sustenance of blood. I miss the sun without pain. He closed his book. But I don't miss dying. Don't miss disease or weakness. It's a trade-off. Would you take it back if you could? Choose to be human again? He considered the question seriously. A month ago, I would have said yes. Now? His eyes met mine. Now I'm not sure. If being human meant never meeting you, I think I'd choose this immortality every time. The warmth in my chest flared, the bond, responding to his words. 3 days after the first feeding, Caleb found me in the library again. It's time, he said simply. I closed my book. I know, I can feel it. And I could. There was a pull toward him that hadn't been there yesterday, a hunger that had nothing to do with food. This time we went to his room. It was just as gothic as the rest of the house, but somehow more personal. Books stacked on the nightstand, clothes draped over a chair, evidence of a life, even one lived in darkness. Wrist or neck? What's the difference? Wrist is simpler, clinical. Neck is more intimate. Paused. The bond will feel stronger from the neck. I tilted my head, offering my throat. Let's not fight it. His breath caught, or would have if he needed to breathe. Are you certain? Instead of answering, I moved closer, closing the distance between us until I could feel the cold radiating off him. He moved slowly, giving me every chance to change my mind. His hand came up to cup the back of my head, fingers threading through my hair. His other hand steadied my shoulder. Then he leaned in, and I felt his breath against my neck, cold like winter wind. The bite was sharper from the neck, more intense. I gasped, and his hand tightened in my hair. Then the venom hit, and it was so much stronger than before. The world went white hot, pleasure flooding through me in waves that made my knees buckle. I would have fallen if he hadn't been holding me up, one arm wrapped around my waist now, supporting my weight. I felt him against me, cold and solid and real. Felt the way he was being careful even now, controlling his strength, making sure he didn't hurt me. The bond flared between us, that strange warmth in my chest expanding until it felt like it was filling my entire body. He pulled back slowly, reluctantly. His eyes were black and wild, and there was blood, my blood, on his lips. Better? I asked, my voice coming out rough. You have no idea. He was still holding me up, still close enough that I could count his eyelashes if I wanted. Every time I feed from you, the bond gets stronger. Every time, it's harder to stop. Maybe you don't have to stop. His eyes widened slightly. What are you saying? I'm saying the bond goes both ways. I can feel what you're feeling, the hunger, the need, the way you're holding back because you're afraid of scaring me. I reached up, touched his jaw. His skin was cold beneath my fingers. I'm not scared. You should be. I'm a predator. It's my nature. You're also the person who asks permission before every feeding, who pays for blood instead of taking it, who collects medical journals from the 1800s because you find them interesting. I smiled. You're not just a predator, Caleb. You're complicated. I'm starting to like complicated. Something shifted in his expression. Hope, maybe, mixed with disbelief. The bond is influencing you, making you feel things. The bond is making me aware of things I was already feeling. There's a difference. He studied my face like he was trying to memorize it. What are you feeling? Safe? Curious? Attracted to you in ways I don't fully understand yet? I paused. What are you feeling? Like I've been drowning for 200 years and just remembered how to breathe. His hand came up to cup my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. Like finding you was the point of every year I've lived. Like I'm terrified of how much I already need you. The bond hummed between us, warm and insistent. Then show me, I said quietly. He kissed me. It wasn't like any kiss I'd ever experienced. His lips were cold, but the kiss itself was hot, desperate, and careful all at once. He tasted like copper and something darker, something ancient. His hand slid from my face to the back of my neck, pulling me closer, and I went willingly. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard, him out of habit, me out of necessity. "I want you to stay," he said, the words rushing out like he had been holding them back. "Not just for the winter, not just for the money. I want you to stay because you want to be here, because you feel what I feel." "I don't know what I feel yet. It's only been a few weeks." "I know. I'm not asking you to decide now. I'm just asking you to consider it, to give us, a real chance." I looked at him, this impossible creature who'd somehow become important to me in less than a month. "I'll consider it." His smile was small but genuine. That's all I can ask. The days turned into weeks. Caleb fed for me every 3 days, and each time the bond grew stronger. I started feeling it constantly, a warmth in my chest that pulsed in time with his presence. I could tell when he was in the house, when he was near, even when he was thinking about me. He courted me, though he'd probably hate that word. He showed me his favorite books, taught me about vampire history that had never made it into human texts. He told me about the world before electricity, before planes, before the internet. He played piano, something I hadn't known about, filling the house with music from centuries past. One night I found him in the music room, playing something that sounded Russian and melancholy. "What is that?" I asked from the doorway. "Rachmaninoff. He wrote it in 1901. I was in Vienna when I first heard it performed." His fingers moved over the keys with impossible precision. "I learned to play because I had time. Centuries of time. You can master anything if you have eternity." I moved closer, watching his hands. "Will you teach me?" He looked up, surprised. "You want to learn?" "I want to know the things you know. See the world the way you see it." Something soft crossed his expression. "Sit." He made room on the bench and I sat beside him. His hands covered mine, guiding my fingers to the keys. "Press here, now here. Feel the rhythm." I pressed, produced a clumsy melody that sounded nothing like what he had been playing. He laughed, a real laugh, warm and genuine. "You're terrible." "Thanks for the encouragement." "You're terrible and I don't care." He leaned closer, his cheek nearly touching mine. "Keep going." We spent an hour like that, him teaching, me fumbling around, both of us laughing. It was normal in a way nothing else had been. Just two people enjoying each other's company. When we finally stopped, his hand lingered on mine. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For being bad at piano? For staying? For giving this a chance? For not running when you learned once?" I turned on the bench to face him. "I'm not going to run." "You still could. The winter isn't over. You're not obligated." I kissed him to shut him up. He froze for a heartbeat, then kissed back with an intensity that made my head spin. His hand came up to cradle my face, cold fingers gentle against my skin. The bond flared between us, hot and insistent. When we broke apart, his eyes were black. "I'm trying to be a gentleman," he said, voice rough. "Maybe I don't want a gentleman." "You don't know what you're asking." "Then show me." His control cracked. I felt it in the bond, the moment he stopped fighting what he wanted. His hands were in my hair, lips on my neck, and we were moving. The study, the couch, him above me, caging me in with arms that could break stone. "Last chance to change your mind," he breathed against my skin. I pulled him closer. I'm not changing my mind. What happened next was a blur of sensation, his cold skin against mine, the careful way he touched me, always conscious of his strength. The moment he bit down on my throat and the venom flooded my system, mixing with desire until I couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. The bond didn't just connect us, it fused us. I felt what he felt, hunger and need and centuries of loneliness finally breaking. He felt what I felt, heat and want and the terrifying thrill of giving myself over to something dangerous. "Mine," he growled against my throat. "Say it." "Yours," I gasped. "Always yours." The bond locked into place with an almost audible click. When it was over, we lay tangled together on the couch, my head on his chest. He was running his fingers through my hair, the gesture tender. "I love you," he said quietly. "I know it's too soon. I know the bond makes everything feel accelerated, but I've lived long enough to know what love feels like, and this is it." I could feel the truth of it through the bond, the depth of what he felt, the certainty. "I don't know if what I feel is love yet," I admitted, "but I know I've never felt this way about anyone. I know I wake up looking forward to seeing you. I know that when I think about leaving, my chest hurts." "That's enough." He pressed a kiss to the top of my head. "That's more than enough for now." We stayed like that for a long time, wrapped in each other and the growing warmth of the bond. The attack came in late February. I was alone in the library. Caleb had gone into the city for something he wouldn't explain. I was reading when I felt it wrong. A presence that made my skin crawl and the bond in my chest pulse with warning. The vampire materialized from shadows in the corner. Literally materialized. Apparently that was something they could do. She was beautiful in the way apex predators are beautiful. All sharp edges and deadly grace. "So, you're the bloodmate." She circled me slowly, predatory. "I've heard rumors. Adrian been showing you off, hasn't he?" "His name is Caleb." I stood slowly, trying not to show fear. The bond in my chest was screaming danger. "Names change. Nature doesn't." She moved closer, inhaling deeply. "I can smell him all over you. The bond. It's intoxicating. Do you know how rare you are? How valuable? He'll kill you if you touch me. He'll have to find me first, and by then, you'll already be mine. Breaking a bond is excruciating for the vampire. It'll destroy him, make him weak, easy prey." She moved with that impossible speed. Then Caleb was there. I didn't see him arrive. One moment I was alone with her, the next he was between us, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with violence. The fight was brutal and beautiful. They moved so fast I could barely track them. Blurs of motion, the sound of impact like thunder. She was strong, but Caleb was stronger, older, more experienced, and absolutely enraged. He had her pinned against the wall within seconds, hand around her throat, eyes completely black. "Touch him again, and I'll rip out your spine and hang it in my foyer as a warning." His voice didn't sound human. It was cold and ancient and promised death. "Spread the word. My bloodmate is under my protection. Anyone who threatens him threatens me." She vanished into shadows the moment he released her. Caleb spun toward me, and I saw the fear beneath the rage. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head. He was on me in an instant, hands running over my arms, my face, checking for injuries. His hands were shaking. "If she'd hurt you, I would have torn this city apart. I know." I caught his wrists, stilling them. "I'm okay. She didn't touch me. She shouldn't have gotten close enough to try it." He pulled me against his chest, arms wrapping around me tight enough that I could feel his supernatural strength. "I left you unprotected. I was careless." "You can't watch me every second." "I can try." He pulled back just enough to look at me, cupping my face in his cold hands. "You need to understand something. That bond we share, it makes you a target. There are vampires who'd kill you just to hurt me. Others who'd try to take you, break our bond, claim you for themselves. You're in danger just by being mine." "Then make me less vulnerable." "What?" I met his eyes. "Turn me. Make me like you. If I'm a vampire, I can fight back, protect myself, stay with you without being a liability." His expression went through several emotions too fast to name. "No." "Why not?" "Because you're 23. You have your whole life ahead of you. I won't take that away." "You're not taking it. I'm offering it." "You don't understand what you're asking." He stepped back, putting distance between us. "Turning is permanent. You'll never see the sun without pain, never age, never be human again. You'll outlive every person you've ever known. It's not a gift. It's a curse." "It's a curse you've lived with for 200 years. "Exactly. I know what it costs. I won't do that to you." "Even if it's what I want?" "Especially if it's what you want." His voice was firm. "The bond is making you think you want this. You're reacting to the threat, to fear. Give it time. If you still want it in a year, in 5 years, we'll discuss it. But not now. Not like this." I wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes stopped me. He was genuinely afraid.
Not of turning me, but of ruining me.
Fine, I said, but I'm staying. With or without fangs, I'm staying. Relief flooded his face. Thank you. The weeks passed. Caleb became more protective, insisting I stay in the house after dark, teaching me basic self-defense, even though we both knew it wouldn't help much against a vampire. The bond between us grew stronger until I could feel him like a heartbeat, constant, reassuring, mine. He stopped trying to hide what he felt, would pull me into his arms while reading, press kisses to my temple, my hair, my hands, would feed from my throat and whisper words in languages I didn't understand against my skin, would look at me like I was the only real thing in his endless life, and I fell, slowly, completely, inevitably in love with him. It happened over piano lessons and late-night conversations, over the way he'd make me coffee exactly how I liked it, even though he couldn't drink it, over how he'd read to me in that accentless voice that somehow carried hints of every place he'd ever been, over the gentleness in his hands and the hunger in his eyes, and the way he said my name like a prayer. One night in early March, I found him on the balcony off his room, staring at the stars. "What are you thinking about?" I asked, joining him. "You. Always you." He glanced over. "I'm thinking about how I've lived for over 2 centuries, and the past 6 months with you have been more alive than all those years combined." That's sappy. I'm old. I'm allowed to be sappy. He pulled me against his side, and I leaned into his cold solidity. "I love you. I know I've said it before, but I need you to understand how much I mean it. You're not just my bloodmate. You're my choice, my partner, my reason for existing." The bond hummed with the truth of his words. "I love you too. I think I have for a while. I was just scared to admit it." Scared of what? Of this being temporary, of you changing your mind, of not being enough for someone who's seen and done everything. He turned me to face him, hands framing my face. "You are enough. You're everything. And this isn't temporary, not for me. I want forever with you, however long your forever is. Then make it as long as yours." His eyes widened. "What?" "Turn me. I'm not asking because I'm scared anymore. I'm asking because I want eternity with you. Because I want to see the next 200 years by your side. Because I choose this." "It's only been 6 months. You can't possibly." "I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything. Turn me. Make me yours completely. If I do this, there's no going back. I know. You'll lose the sun, lose your humanity, lose everything you were. And I'll gain everything you are, everything we could be together." I held his gaze. "I love you. I want this. Please." He studied my face for a long moment, searching for doubt. He wouldn't find any. "When?" he finally asked. "Now. Tonight. Before I lose my nerve or you talk yourself out of it." His smile was small and sad. "This is going to hurt. I know." He led me inside, to his bed, made me comfortable against the pillows, sat beside me, taking my hand. "The process is simple. I'll drain you to the point of death, then you'll drink from me. My blood will rewrite your cells, transform you. It takes about 3 days. You'll be conscious for most of it, and it will be agony. Your body will be dying and reviving simultaneously. Will you stay with me?" "Every second. I'll be here. You won't be alone." "Then I'm ready." He moved over me, positioning himself carefully. His hand cradled the back of my head, tilting it to expose my throat. "I love you," he whispered against my skin. "I love you too." The bite was familiar now, sharp, then sweet as the venom hit. But this time he didn't stop after a few minutes. He kept drinking, and I felt myself getting weaker. Lightheaded. Cold. My vision started to blur at the edges. He pulled back, bit his own wrist until blood welled dark and red, pressed it to my lips. "Drink." I did. His blood tasted like copper and smoke and something undefinable. Power, maybe, or age. It burned going down, a cold fire that spread through my chest. Then the pain hit. It was like every cell in my body was being torn apart and rebuilt simultaneously. like dying and being born the same moment. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Caleb gathered me against his chest, one hand in my hair, the other wrapped around my back. His voice was in my head now, the bond fully open, letting him speak directly to my mind. I'm here. I have you. You're safe. I love you. I'm here. The pain went on forever. Hours, maybe days. Time lost meaning. There was only agony and his voice, constant and steady, anchoring me. You're doing so well, so strong. I'm so proud of you. Stay with me. I love you. I'm here. Gradually, the pain began to fade. The fire in my veins cooled. My senses sharpened. I could hear the house settling, smell the books in the library 3 floors below, feel every thread in the sheets beneath me. I opened my eyes. The world looked different, sharper, more. Colors I didn't have names for. Sounds layered in ways I'd never noticed before. And Caleb, Caleb looked like he was glowing. The bond between us was visible now as a golden thread connecting us. How do you feel? His voice was careful. I sat up, testing my new body. Stronger, faster, cold in a way that didn't bother me. Different. Good different. Your eyes are red. That'll fade in a few weeks as the transformation completes. I looked at my hands. Paler than they had been, veins dark beneath translucent skin. I'm really a vampire. You're really a vampire. My bloodmate. My mate. My forever. The hunger hit suddenly, a burning in my throat that demanded attention.
I know, Caleb said, reading my expression. Come on, I'll teach you to hunt. He led me out into the night, and I felt the darkness welcome me like an old friend. The moon was bright enough to read by. Every star stood out in sharp relief. The city lights in the distance looked like jewels. We ran through the forest behind his property, and I laughed at the sheer joy of movement. I was faster than thought, stronger than I'd ever imagined. The trees blurred past, the wind whipped through my hair. Caleb ran beside me, matching my pace, and his joy echoed through the bond. He taught me to hunt ethically, animal blood for sustenance, how to take only what was needed, how to be grateful for the life that sustained us. The blood tasted good, but not amazing. Wait until you taste human blood, he said. Ethically sourced from blood banks, of course. Of course, I grinned at him, feeling my new fangs with my tongue. This is insane. Welcome to immortality. We returned to the mansion at dawn. I felt the sun rising, even from inside, a warning tingle that said danger. The first few years, the sun sensitivity is worst, Caleb explained. Eventually, you'll be able to tolerate brief exposure, but for now, we stay inside during the day. I don't mind. I pulled him close, enjoying the fact that we were the same temperature now. I have everything I need right here. He kissed me, and it was different now. Equals, partners, 2 predators who'd chosen each other. Forever, he said against my lips. Forever, I agreed. The next months were an education. Caleb taught me control, how to manage the hunger, how to move through human spaces without drawing attention. He introduced me to other vampires, a whole secret society I'd never known existed. Most were cautious but accepting. A few were hostile, seeing me as an interloper. I didn't care. I learned the reality of vampire politics, the territorial disputes, the ancient grudges that had been simmering for centuries. I learned that what Caleb had built, a life of relative peace and ethical feeding, was unusual, that most vampires were far more monstrous than he'd ever been. You're different, I said one night. We were in bed, wrapped around each other in the darkness. Than other vampires, I mean. You actually care about humans. I was human once. I remember what it felt like to be vulnerable, mortal. Most vampires forget. They live long enough that humans become insects, brief, meaningless. I never wanted to be that. You never will be. Not with me here to remind you. No, he agreed. Not with you. 6 months after my turning, we left the mansion, traveled the world, all the places he'd been, all the places I'd never dreamed of seeing. Paris in winter, Tokyo in spring, the northern lights from Iceland, ancient ruins in Greece where he'd walked as a younger vampire. We fed from blood banks, donated blood, ethical sources. We avoided taking human life. We built a life together that balanced what we were with who we wanted to be. 1 year after my turning, we returned to the mansion. I was stronger now, more in control. The newborn hunger had faded to something manageable. Regrets? Caleb asked. We were on the balcony again, watching the stars. None. You? Only that I didn't find you sooner. He pulled me into his arms. Though I suppose the timing was perfect. You needed me as much as I needed you. Broke college student meets lonely vampire. It's almost romantic. It's extremely romantic. We're going to be insufferable together for the next few centuries. Good. I kissed him, feeling the bond between us, stronger now, permanent, unbreakable. I love you. I love you too. His smile was soft. My bloodmate, my partner, my forever. And forever, it turned out, was exactly long enough when you spent it with the right person. We'd have our challenges, other vampires who'd test us, hunters who'd try to end us, the slow, inevitable march of time changing the world around us while we remained constant. But we'd face it together. Two creatures who'd found each other against astronomical odds and refused to let go. The house stopped feeling empty. I filled the extra rooms with art, with music, with life in whatever form immortals could claim it. We hosted other vampires, built alliances, created a safe haven for those like us who wanted more than an existence of violence and hunger. I learned to play piano properly. Caleb learned to appreciate modern music. We read books together, debated philosophy, explored the breadth of human achievement from our unique perspective as creatures who existed outside humanity while still connected to it. Some nights, when the moon was bright and the world was quiet, we'd run through the forests like we did that first night after my turning. We'd hunt together, feed together, return home as the dawn approached to spend the day wrapped in each other's arms. Thank you, I said one morning, lying in the darkness of his room with blackout curtains keeping the sun at bay. For what? For finding me. For choosing me. For making forever feel like not quite enough time. He kissed my forehead. I should be thanking you. You gave me something to exist for beyond simple survival. You gave me hope. We gave each other hope. Yes, he agreed. We did. The bond hummed between us, warm and golden and permanent. I'd answered a Craigslist ad 3 years ago, desperate and broke and out of options. I'd walked into a Gothic mansion expecting a scam or worse. Instead, I'd found my forever. And if someone had told me back then that I'd end up a vampire, bonded to a creature who'd lived for centuries, happier than I'd ever been in my human life, I probably would have laughed. But here I was, immortal, in love, home. No regrets, I said again, more to myself than to him. None at all, Caleb agreed, pulling me closer. Not a single one. And as we drifted into the stillness that passed for sleep among our kind, I knew he was right. This was exactly where I was meant to be. Forever never looked so good. The end.
Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next story.